Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Marcus, and I've been playing only Heavy Guardian since the start of Blue Protocol's global launch, pretty much 99% of it on EARTHFORT, but recently, I've finally given Block a real try with the release of Master Mode. I've cleared Master Rank 4 of all the current Master Mode dungeons, so Goblin's Lair, Tina, and Towering Ruin, on both EARTHFORT and Block. And while I haven't cleared M5, I did a couple tries of each live with some viewers. Oh yeah, I stream by the way, feel free to tune in here on YouTube or on Twitch, usually around 11 AM EST. While we clearly just didn't have enough damage yet, I felt like I could live all the pulls I wanted to do on both specs. In case you don't entirely know the difference between Block and Earth, I'll give you a quick rundown. EARTHFORT relies pretty much entirely on its self-shielding, and I actually like to think of it similar to a reverse recovery shield knight, where when you think of recovery spec, you think of it's a super self-healing, self-sustaining tank. EARTHFORT is just like that, but kind of in the opposite way. Instead of healing itself when low, it pretty much constantly always has a massive shield. Block Spec is probably the most standard tank you can imagine. It's all about stacking mitigation on mitigation. Your main ability 1, Counter Crush, gives you maximum block chance. You rely on the luck stat, which gives you lucky blocks, even more mitigation. When you proc luck, you sometimes shoot out a little pebble that gives you even more mitigation. Your other attack skills give mitigation, and usually run 2 other defensive moves. You get the idea. The only quote-unquote flaw is the lack of pretty much any self-sustain. With that out of the way, let's add a bit more context to my Heavy Guardian. I'm completely free to play, I haven't spent a dime, and I'm currently 15.2k on Earth and 14.8k on Block. While the difference might seem big, it's really just the difference in skillbook. The only thing that might be noticeable is if I invested more skillbooks into Brave Bastion for Block Spec. Each tier up increases duration by 0.5 seconds, while the rest of the skills are pretty much just damage. I always ran Serengit for both specs, replacing Star Shadow on Earth and Stoneform on Block, and always run both Goblin Guard rank 5 and then Frost Ogre rank 0 for both specs as well. Stat-wise, while I have 27%ish luck on Block right now, I had way better stats for Earth right before swapping, so I didn't sandbag one spec over the other. The only reason I went from being an EARTHFORT only pretty much kind of guy to trying out Block was for 2 reasons. 1, I finally had enough luck for it to not feel awful, so in this case probably around 25%. I know other Block spec chads are around 40% right now maybe. And number 2, sometimes during the hard master mode pulls, I felt like I would just instantly get obliterated and wanted to see if Block would change this. Before we answer that second question, let's compare a couple scenarios for the specs, starting with bossing. Do you think EARTHFORT is just flat out better and easier? You can have a permanent Giga Shield pretty much 100% of the time, making any auto attacks you take just do 0 damage to you, and because of this, you never really have to ult unless you wanted to do extra damage or something. So often, I just saved my ult for any tank buster and ate it taking 0 damage. For one tank buster even, I decided to not press anything and see how it went, and it pretty much just broke my shield and brought me to 70% HP. Which I then immediately refilled my shield back anyways. I think Earth is ridiculously OP on bosses, given infinite time and no mechanics. I think Earth can solo most bosses even with an ability score disadvantage. But unfortunately that's not how the game works at all, so this point doesn't really matter, it's just something I like about the spec. Onto Block Spec, while it doesn't feel as chill or immortal as Earth, you really won't have any issue at all during bosses. While you will take actual damage from a boss's auto attack, you'll simply just rotate using Brave Bastion and Stoneform. With these skills plus your natural rotation mitigation, you will never really be in danger. One downside is that you will eventually need healing, but because of just how the game works, healers in this game just kind of heal regardless of what happens. Pretty much all healers just heal by pressing any buttons, right? The only time this is a downside is if a healer dies, but for 90% of the cases, when a healer dies, you just reset the boss. Yeah, Earth doing the last 10% without a healer is kind of cool, but this situation doesn't happen that much. And then similar to Earth, you can kind of just save your ult for any tank buster. So to recap, Block takes a bit more effort and does need healer attention, and that extra effort comes from the fact that Block does need to play a bit smarter with rotating its active defensive buttons, such as Stoneform or Brave Bastion, while EARTHFORT can kind of just press everything on cooldown except ult and then just sit with a perma Giga Shield. Moving on to mobbing, or the trash packs, honestly Block is kinda better. First, let me explain how I go about doing my Master 4 and the Master 5 pulls, and my thought process during it. At this level, honestly, it felt like if you don't have an active mitigation up, so for Heavy Guardian, this is your either Stoneform, Ult, Brave Bastion, and even the skill Sandward, without any one of these skills up, you kind of just feel like in lethal range at any time. Like you feel like you just flop over at any point. And this was true for both specs. So on Earth, I kind of went crazy and like tried to do the weirdest things. Knowing I'm about to do a hard pull, I would have already replaced Star Shatter for Sand Grip, but then realizing I might need more extra mitigation to live, I even tried to replace Sand Shroud for Sand Ward, the move literally no one ever probably pressed in their life. This move just makes you totally immune, by the way, just kind of cool. But as you guessed, with this move pool, I had literally like no resource regeneration, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how I usually went with pulling my mobs. First, I would run through all the packs, using Phantom Dash when I think I could avoid the most damage, so from archers and ranged mobs. Second, I would pop literally everything to stall, so probably Alt, Goblin Guard, Stone Form, whatever I thought I needed. Third, when mobs are in a good spot, use Sand Grip to group them in. Fourth, I would press Frost Ogre. Frost Ogre will just insta-break the whole pack, giving you like 7 seconds of a fully CC'd pack. And lastly, I would use and rotate whatever leftover mitigation I had. So my Sand Ward immune, if I tech that in, Stone Form coming back on cooldown, etc. At every level just before the hardest, so for right now this is M4 and below, during the Frost Ogre CC, I would just start spamming the slam with Resolute Breath EARTHFORT doing massive damage, and usually the pack is just dead before anything happens. But on M5, and especially with weaker DPS, the packs don't die right away, and this is where the problem starts to rise for Earth. Because I took both Sand Grip and sometimes Sand Ward, I'm already down 2 skills for Earth, and those skills are like massive generators for both my Rage and my Earth Crystals. So after the slamming and after the mobs were able to actually move again, I noticed I'm sometimes just fully clenched like perma, no resources to use, no shield up, just perma kiting and praying until one of my mitigation tools came up. This is not to include the fact that after the combat ends, I would switch back to Sand Shroud, use it for resources, and switch it back out for whatever defensive I had. It was kind of a whole lot of work to make EARTHFORT kind of just not blow up during the pull. This is where I think Blocked is a bit better. Just by the nature of the Spec's mitigation, you don't get resource starved, and it can mostly just be a permanent like 40% damage reduction, something like that. And because of that, you kind of know you won't get absolutely one shot. It can kind of stall out your cooldowns better, and in general it's a bit more chill. But I'm talking only for like max prog, hardest content you can just barely do. So for right now, it's Master Mode 5 for me, which recommends an ability score of 17,820. Well, I'm only like 15k, and even when I say Block is better, like I said, there wasn't a single pull I felt like I couldn't do on Earth instead of Block. It just took way more work and experimentation. And if the pull went on for way too long, and with way too many Deer's mobs still alive, it kinda got very sus. For anything below like current hardest, Earth might even be better just because after grouping them up and slamming them, you kinda just delete the whole pack with your team. It was only an issue when the packs didn't die during the CC. Also, shout out to Inferno Ogre in Goblin's Lair Master 5, just one shot stomping out my EARTHFORT, because I can't keep a shield up while Block can kinda just eat it. To summarize, Block feels a bit better in the absolute most endgame dungeon content while being at your most ratty ability score, but the thing is, both specs will be able to complete Master 6 when it's available, as we'll have way more ability score, gear, module, whatever by then, and the goalpost of hardest level will just keep climbing up as we get more gear. So what spec is better really just depends on what your goals are. If you just want to take content for your friends or guild, I actually think Earth is better as it's super self-reliant and extremely strong when not getting just demolished by mobs 3k above your ability score. If you want to push the absolute hardest content that everyone except you, or even you, is wailing to even do enough damage, then yeah, probably go Block. But yeah, that's my experience with both specs of Heavy Guardian. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and actually, in the comments, let me know your experience. Not even just for Heavy Guardian, but your other spec too. Like, are Shield Knights feeling squishier for recovery versus shield? Or do some healers feel like they heal less on, say, Concerto versus Dissonance? Even for DPS, how do you feel about Icicle Mages doing a bit less AoE? Do you notice that, or have you tried the other spec? Let me know, I'm super curious. But yeah, thanks for watching everyone, bye.